I mean, at some point we have to call the bluff, right? We're going to have to do something that upsets them.
Well, not necessarily.
No, I think actually it's very easy for us to just put our fingers in our ears and just go la 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 la, which we've been doing successfully for some time, Shelley.
But then, well, here's an argument about the TSMC and the whole, global computer chip thing, relying on Taiwan. Is that a strategic thing that's of vital importance to the US?
No, because we could just buy them from China.
They can't make them yet.
Well, when they take over.
Oh, that's so depressing.
Yeah, and that's somebody's probably arguing that.
Probably get a discount, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah, the downside is though they'd be made in China.
Yeah, discount with some presents inside.
Yeah. Wow.
Anything more uplifting you'd like to talk about?
I know. I like to usually end these things on some kind of message of hope, but currently we're in a Cold War and we're not fighting.
Well, no, the hope is that, President Harris or Biden, whoever, will send troops to Taiwan and station them there. And if the CCP decides that they get triggered by this, then that's their fault.
Exactly.
So we just got to swing our arms around. And if the CCP gets in our way, it's their own fault.
Well, that's
we
what
also
I was
need
going
to do it. We also need to do it in all dimensions. We need to do it diplomatically, trade, financial, cyber. We need to use all of our power to do that. We shouldn't just use one form of power to send a message. We need to be unified in what we're doing.
Well, that's a very interesting point because I feel like over the past several decades, there's been a reluctance for America to want to use its power. The idea that
it's unseemly.
Or that, America is really the greatest threat to world peace. America is always the bad guy. And this is I think pretty even prevalent within the United States. And I think that's hobbling.
Well, it didn't stop us from invading Iraq and Afghanistan. So why should it stop us from a meaningful defense of an ally?
It also reminds me of, when in both Gulf Wars, 91 and 2003, Israel is a strong country, and they view their situation as, we will fight our own fight, but if you want to come join us, we will welcome you. That's their attitude. And in both cases, the U.S. sent Patriot units and other smaller units to Israel to ensure that Israel did not get involved with those wars, because the U.S. wanted Israel to stay out of it. But in the same sense, I think that Israel is a good example of what Taiwan should look towards in terms of what it can do. And so it's a small country. Taiwan has got 23 million. Israel has 9 million. Israel is surrounded by a lot of crazy people. Luckily, they have peace treaties with Egypt and Jordan, but still Iran is there. Taiwan is surrounded by sea, but the main story, of course, is the PLA across the border. And they're currently fighting. They're fighting the ideological war. They're fighting the media warfare. They're fighting psychological warfare. The fight is going on. It's just at a different dimension. And I think that to end on a sort of a positive note, I think that Taiwan can look at examples around the world to take their cue from and pursue them. And I think Israel is a good example.
So I like that idea. Even if the U.S. doesn't back Taiwan on its own will retake the mainland and establish West Taiwan.
That's where you're going with that. Okay.
That's my dream.
That's the 100-year plan, right?
Yes. That's the world I want to live in.
That's 2049.
I would love to live in, what do you call it? Beijing, Taiwan?
What?
Well, because they call it Chinese Taipei.
Yeah.
So it should be Taiwanese Beijing.
Taiwanese Beijing. Someday I will visit Taiwanese Beijing. All right. Thank you for joining us today. Yeah, it's sad that we always invite people over to talk about horrible things or when horrible things happen.
And the good news is I'm heading towards Taiwan next week.
So you must be pretty optimistic about Taiwan.
I am.
That's great. Why?
Because, first of all, they've been able to prevent the CCP from taking them over for the last, 70 some odd years. So that's a success story. They haven't been able to do it. And I think time is on the side of the Taiwanese. I think over time, the Taiwanese have become more and more convinced that if they were living under the CCP, they would be suffering a lot. And so I think that over time, that number is increasing. And I think that really worries the CCP. They're losing that battle.
Well, it's interesting because we just did an episode about Nixon's trip to China, and something I found out about it was that, like, at one point Mao himself was like, "There's no way there could be a peaceful unification with Taiwan. They're all a bunch of counter-revolutionaries." So it's strange that, like, even Mao back then knew, like, this is not going to be peaceful, and yet there were still people. There probably are still today people in Taiwan is like, this can work out.
Well, I mean, to be fair, peaceful wasn't exactly like Mao's go-to.
But when
That's
has
true.
peaceful been the CCP's go-to? If you look at how they treat their own people, they're not a peaceful regime.
We talk a lot about this sort of asymmetry, but just like there's a North and South Korea, I don't see why there can't be in perpetuity the same with Taiwan and the PRC. They're two separate countries. Unfortunately, Taiwan is not in the UN, but the North Korea and South Korea have representation. And there are a lot of examples. There's South Sudan, which became an independent country. There's Yugoslavia, which was one country, now is like 7 countries. And they're all independent, and they all are existing quite well. So I think, this situation, I pray for it to continue forever, unless, of course, like you said, Taiwan takes over mainland, and that would be even better. That would be the Taiwanese dream. I mentioned to you before the CCP dream.
I don't know if it's the Taiwanese dream anymore.
It used to be.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely Chiang Kai-shek's dream, but I think...
I don't know. I'm seeing a lot of memes about West Taiwan.
Well, that's not necessarily from Taiwanese people.
Shelley, memes on the internet represent absolute truth.
Uh-huh. Well,
I'm seeing a T-shirt here. Just so you know.
Good idea. Take note of that.
I do think that Taiwan, like, it's a situation, like, and the U.S. relationship with Taiwan, right? It's a situation where things have changed a lot since 1979, but we're not being flexible, or like we're not getting with the times in a lot of ways. Like, the attitude of the Taiwanese government has changed. The attitude of the Taiwanese people has changed in a way where, like, no way would Chiang Kai-shek have been like, yeah, fine, just call us a separate country that's Taiwan. We're not China. But now most Taiwanese people are like, well, we're Taiwan. We're not, sure, we're the Republic of China, but we're not, nobody wants to go take over mainland China anymore. So there is no reason there couldn't be 2 Chinas, essentially. But we're just kind of not getting with it. And, well, also because the Chinese Communist Party doesn't want that to be part of the conversation, because then they lose their, legitimate claim to part of their territory.
But, we can say it. I don't really care what they think. But if we want to believe that Taiwan is an independent, democratic country, why don't we say that? But we're afraid to even say that because it might offend the CCP. We can't say, diplomatically, we can't say that Taiwan is an independent, democratic country.
Yeah, I mean, because they've essentially made us believe that, like, if once we say that, it's war. Getting
back to, the fighting guy in the kindergarten. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's not. It's not going to be war. Are they willing to start a war because somebody, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never hurt me? We remember those words. Well, we could say a lot of things, but until they actually do something, how do we know that they're going to do anything except mouth off at us?
Yeah, like that whole argument is silly because China wants to fight a war when it's ready, not when it's triggered by something. But so good luck in Taiwan. That'll be a fantastic event. And yeah, again, I look forward to going to Taiwanese Beijing someday.
Right. Take care. Thanks a lot for your help.